welcome to Theme Park Worldwide, where today we've been invited by Alton Towers to come and have a sneaky look inside the Alton Towers Dungeon. We're very excited to get in there and go and have a little look and see what's been taking place in the former Charlie and the Chocolate Factory building, which has been completely transformed, well, nearly transformed, apart from a little bit at the side, but it's a very work in progress at the moment. And of course, what you're about to see in here is going to give away some of the rooms inside the dungeon, so don't watch past this point. Yeah, if you don't want any spoilers or anything, don't watch past this point. But yeah, inside, of course, we're going to be able to chat to some of the people who created this attraction, people who are going to be operating it, along with previewing a couple of the scenes inside as well. So I'll put a mix in of me sort of talking over it, and of course at the end we'll do a bit of a summary of what we've seen inside as well. But in terms of the exterior, we've got some flame torches, of course you've got the dungeon logo there, and yeah, very excited to get inside, and not too sure what to expect. Of course, there's a lot of history with this building. It was originally Doom and Sons, it was then Toyland Tours, it was then Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and now it's a dungeon. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they've changed it. And of course we do know that the boat ride itself is going to be used inside the dungeon. That is a scene, so I'm looking forward to seeing that when it opens. Of course, we're not going to be able to see that today. It's a very limited thing we're seeing today, but of course a big thank you to the park for inviting us up here to see it. But here we go then, spoilers from this point on. Let's head inside the Alton Towers Dungeon for a first look. She's off, let's go. Just before we head inside the dungeon, let's talk more about the exterior of the attraction. As we can see, we've got the castle-style facade, that is the main entrance, and also a ticket area for the dungeon as well. To the sides of that, you can see they've attached wood onto the exterior of the building. There's still some of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory facade visible to the left of the building, however that is going to be covered up by the opening. And the brown door to the left of the entrance is going to be the exit to this attraction. Also, as you can see here, some more of the details there. The flame torches are set to be replaced by new ones attached to the building. They were just temporary whilst we visited. And here's a little look at the ticket booth where you're going to be able to purchase tickets to enter the dungeon. We were then treated to a bit of the opening spiel from the first scene of the attraction. You can see here, this is the waiting area, and this is what you're going to expect before entering into that first scene of the dungeon.
Those peasants who dare enter the dungeon will be immersed into the horrible and twisted history of these Towers of Alton and its surrounding lands. On this journey, you will meet many infamous characters who will bring to life its gripping stories and twisted tales. They will entertain you, guide you, murder you. No, that's my little joke. They won't guide you. And because I don't like you, I'll let you into a little secret. There is a river in the dungeon. It is called the Black River. You will ride in a boat down the Black River and you will have a wickedly wonderful, horrible time. Scary Fun is the name of the game. Once in the dungeon, life will never be the same. You, where have you come from today? Sorry? No, I heard you. I'm just sorry. Sinners, your fate is sealed. No turning back. I, the steward of these Towers of Alton, wish you a horrible time.
After being welcomed into the dungeon, a door then opened which led us into the first scene of the attraction. This is the courtroom that's actually home to the Bishop of Stafford. Here's a look at some of the theming and scenery items that can be seen in there, along with a preview of what to expect from this scene.
Peasants, you are staring into the eyes of justice. For in this year of our Lord, 1602, I, the Bishop of Stafford, have been appointed by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth to be Justice of the Peace for this shire, and as such, I shall administer to its needs both spiritual and judicial. To my flock of lambs, I shall be both shepherd and butcher.
The next scene would usually be the Black River boat ride, but as construction was still taking place, we then made our way into the next scene, which was the Torturer. In here you've got the usual style set pieces and also theming, along with a similar script to other dungeons. We also saw a bit of Alton Towers history in one of the corridors. This wall is from Doom & Sons and has remained in the building since the attraction closed in 1991. We were then led into what will be the next scene at the Alton Towers Dungeon, and that is the Highwayman, Dick Turpin. From this point on, the team at Alton Towers and also Merlin Magic Making explained a little bit about the scenes inside the attraction.
Now, one of the people that comes calling quite often is a Mr. Dick Turpin. Now, this room then, I think if you're familiar with the Dungeon brand, you'll understand there's the first part of the show. It's very much about the actor talking through, giving you a bit of scene setting and storytelling, and then we plunge the guests into darkness, and then suddenly you get up close and personal with Mr. Turpin himself, and he's in the room. Like I say, this all kind of pulls from research we've done on where he was supposed to have come, up and down the country, so we pull it very much to being local to the area. There are a few other gags and surprises which we're not going to talk in great detail about today, that we've put into here that we haven't done in other dungeons. But rest assured, it's a show that we know will score pretty highly, and it's rehearsing really well. So Chris, do you want to add anything, given the few shows we've seen as well, coming through here as well?
I think as Eddie says, we're not going to give all the surprises away, but you know, as you'd expect, it's all of the shows are supported with all the various other technical elements, whether that be the lighting, the sound effects, the smells have got to go in. Yeah, there's little gags in here, there, and everywhere in all the different rooms. So, you know, it's very much just about using all those elements to, as you'd expect, to bring all the rooms to life.
And this is the costume as well. As you can see, we've got refined our costumes a bit more for each one. And the team at Alton here have taken the costumes we've got from the provider, really broken them down, cheese graters, dyes, the lot to make them feel the part. And once you get that with the actors into those and they get the makeup on and everything else, it really completes the picture and brings the whole thing really to life. So we're quite excited where we're at the moment. Still some work to do, but if we go that way, Chris, I mean, if you follow Chris, he'll take you through first and then I'll squeeze by and no doubt knock something over as I'm leaving.
As our tour continued of the Alton Towers Dungeon, we were then led into what will be the next scene, that is, the Plague Doctor. In here, along with seeing the set pieces, we was also treated to a bit of a behind the scenes look at how these attractions are all put together and programmed. That was by the teams at Alton Towers and also Holovis.
We've met the Bishop, we've seen the Torturer, we've then headed through down and we've met the landlady of the Welsh Harp Inn and heard tale of Dick Turpin. She's then passed us, and once we've survived that area, we then get passed through to the doctor's surgery down here, where the doctor has just been on a trip to Ian, about 20 miles away, and he's come back with stories about what's happened there. The story being that the Black Death had managed to find its way up to Ian in some blankets, and a number of the people in the village had become infected, and they made the sacrifice to barricade themselves, their town in, and stop the disease from spreading any further. And sadly, around 230 inhabitants of Ian died doing that, but the doctor's made it back here. But sadly, he's found himself on the slab underneath this, underneath here. Let's see if we can just unwrap him slightly as well. There we go. So he's not having a brilliant day there. But then our surgery assistant here is here to explain all about the buboes, about the bad bits, the bad blood, the leeches, and all the other horrible things that are associated with the plague, and brings the story to life. Again, like in other shows, with a person pulled out of the audience and put into the operating chair here. The show then plays out. I imagine a few of you are similar to how familiar with how the plague show runs, so we'll be doing it that way. But again, it's got that Alton overlay. It's got the stories associated with the local area, and we're adding little bits into it as well to bring it even more to life. Just while we're in here as well, just so you know, you've got Kieran Smith, is our artistic director, behind you there, who's in the darkness. And you've got Dave from Holovis and Phil there from London Dungeon and Lee there as well. So these guys are doing all the magic that makes it, bring it to life and gives it, ties everything together and creates this well-oiled machine that we know and love, and we know works really well for entertaining our guests. Some other stats for you as well that we didn't talk about in the other rooms. The group size is around 27. You'll be going in batches of around 6. You'll be going through, is it 6 or 8 minutes? 8 minutes. 8-minute flow on this one. So we're going to keep pushing people through the attraction at that rate. Yeah, anything from
Well,
you,
just
Chris?
in terms of the stats, I know you guys are kind of interested in that sort of thing as well. We did a bit of a calculation. We think somewhere in the region of about 220 people have worked on this project to bring it all together. And it's really nice. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring you into this room, just so you can see the fact that we've got people like we've got electricians, we've got people like Dave from Holidays, Eddie, we've got Kieran. You know, I've got all of my backstage team who are now working on understanding what Dave and the team have put in from a technical perspective. The team over in costume are dealing with over 700 separate items of costumes, the wigs, the shoes, the undergarments, all the signature pieces. Scenic construction team are in working with Jeff's team to understand how we're going to make sure that this stays in tip-top condition. Lee from stage management has been working tirelessly with Phil, who's from London, who's been helping us from London Dungeon with the directions. So we've already done 4.5 weeks of rehearsals. That's been based in the Corporate Hospitality Suite down by XX. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. And this is really our first week where we've managed to come into the building and really start breathing some life into it. And this is just day 6 of many to come, where we're just going to continually fine-tune and just tweak, and as we find what works, what doesn't work, as we find just those little nuances and those tiny little alterations, whether it be a sound cue or a lighting cue, a prop, a line, and we're narrowing that process as everything's beginning to come together, of just all that meticulous work in terms of the detail. And that, for me, that's the bit that really, that's the really exciting stage where you can just see it all come to life.
Yeah, and on that as well, I mean, normally from when Kieran and I look at other dungeons, this is the 11th one. So this is the 6th in the UK, but the 11th globally. And normally we have around, what is it, Kieran, 18 months to kind of get something from concept through to completion. With this one, from getting it concepted up and signed off at board level, it's actually only been 6 months. So we've really kind of gone with some gusto to get this to where it is now, and that's testament to the team that we've got within Merlin and within Alton, and like all the people that Chris mentioned. So we're really proud of where it's at the moment. Like you say, a few more layers of props and a few more layers of dressing, and getting the actors into those costumes is going to be fantastic in these next few days. Great.
Sorry, I don't want to delay proceedings because I know you guys have got a job to do, but whilst we've got a little bit of light, because I know these guys are really interested in what we've had to do to transform the building from its previous iteration as Charlie and Chocolate Lecture. Could you just give them a little bit of insight into that?
Yeah, so the ride itself, which you're all familiar with, the layout of the ride stayed the same. We're utilising that. It's a great ride, but within that, all the scenes have changed, so it's going to be a very different different experience. But it's amazing actually once you begin to peel back the layers and peel back the old theming and the old structure. This is a huge building, and it's really allowed us to create an attraction here where we can really replicate what other dungeons do really well. Just that sense of travelling through on a journey from, you know, where the judges sentence you through to the boat ride and through to all the different scenes to our fantastic finale. So it's been really interesting from my point of view just to see the way that the space and the use of the space has changed. There are still some familiar, for those of you who are really keen, there are just a couple of tiny little bits here and there that you might still spot, but nothing to do with the...
What do you mean, like that big wall on the outside?
Like the big wall on the outside, which won't be there. But yeah, it's been a fantastic building. It's really lent itself to what we're trying to achieve. Here. There's lots of space. There's lots of height, so we can work in lots of gags. You know, from a tech point of view, it's been actually a great building to work in because there's lots of space. So from a maintenance point of view and installation point of view, it's been one of the easiest. It's never easy, but it's been one of the easier attractions to do, which has allowed us to concentrate on some of the more detail.
Are you going to be decorating the outside space to match to some degree?
So yeah, there's still quite a bit of dressing and decoration to go on the outside. So what you see now is probably what 75–80%.
Yeah, I'd say that, yeah.
Where we're there. We've got fence lines to go in. We've got some other features on the archway to go in. There's a lot of dressing and photo opportunities. That first room you see we've got a ticketing function on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side will be as you'd expect, a queue line and what have you to allow us to do our batching. There's a photo opportunity in there as well. So yeah, there's still an awful lot to do to bring that first initial area to life.
I mean, the importance for us at the moment is to get the actors in, get them trained, get them kind of familiar with the space so that we can hit the ground running on the 23rd. We can always add in props, dressing, all that stuff, out of hours around these guys, but making sure, because the performance is key to the success of this. Getting fantastic actors, make sure that everybody enjoys their experience, goes and tells their friends about it, and then more people.
So we've put all the actors through, as you'd expect, a rigorous audition process. I'm sure for those of you who are familiar with the resort will probably recognise a few faces along the way. They have been treated exactly the same way as someone that's new. They have had to go through a day-long audition where we look for their ability to, from a characterisation point of view, taking direction, through to just their, the simple ability to adapt to a changing audience, to adapt to that, to keeping that slightly repetitive nature, keeping that character alive, and the ability to learn 9–10 different roles and bring something to each different role. And it's great to see because it means we've got a great mixture now of people that have been with us for a number of seasons through to people that this is their first time. Some of them are going to work solely in here. Some of them you may see in other roles around the resort. We've got currently we have 25 people in rehearsal. I'd expect that number to go up, and on any one day we'll have at least 12 actors in here.
After learning many more different facts about the Alton Towers Dungeon, we then made our way into what will be the final scene of the attraction. This is the haunting of Molly Lee, and along with hearing a little bit about what's going to happen inside this scene, we also had a Q&A session with the creators behind the Alton Towers Dungeon.
Okay, so this is the fifth and final show in the dungeon tour. So you'll have just the river, you've been through the Bishop, you've been down the river. We then have a ride offload show, actually, which we didn't talk about before. When everybody gets off the ride, we do have a show, don't we, Chris, to kind of collate everybody, because everybody gets off in batches of 9, that group of 27. So we do have a rolling show there as well, prior to you coming in and seeing the torturer, and then you go to the Welsh Harp Inn, then go to the Plague, and then you find yourself in this cottage in Burslem. Now, this is our ghost show, and within the Dungeon Estate, no two ghost shows are the same. So there are tricks in this that we haven't done in other ones, and the story here is fantastic. It tells a story I'm sure you're all very familiar with, the story of Molly Lee, the Witch of Burslem. Now, I don't think it's nationally known too well, is it? And we're hoping that by putting it into here and having a local story that we can talk about a lot is going to pay dividends. It's going to be great. It's going to be something that people want to come and see. Now, the story itself, if you're not familiar with it, talks about this woman called Molly Lee, who was from Burslem, who was born slightly ugly and disfigured and wasn't particularly liked within the village. She got a job selling milk, and everybody thought that she was watering the milk down and she was cursed and she was causing problems in the village. And ultimately, when she died, people then saw a spirit and blamed her for pretty much everything that was going wrong in the town. So ultimately, the person in charge, whose name I forgot this morning, and I'm forgetting it again, but it was Mr. Spencer. Sorry?
The rector.
The rector, that's the word I keep forgetting, the rector, decided to exhume her body, get the coffin up and throw in her pet crow, was it crow or raven? Raven, I knew that, raven, into the coffin again, bury that in a different direction, and then hopefully that would do away with the spirits that were causing problems in the town. Sadly that didn't work, and her spirit still causes grief in the area. So we're going to bring that show to life here. Obviously it follows a similar route to what we do with our other ghost shows. The costumes you can see here, this would be Molly, and this is the lady who lives in the cottage. So without wanting to explain all the gags that are going on, I'll pass it over to Chris so he can add any other elements to it that your guys have been working with.
No, I think as I think really it's about not wanting to really give away much in this room. It is the finale. I think, as Eddie said, just expect the unexpected, as you would do in a ghost show. And for guests coming in here for the first time, I think this is certainly going to be one of the rooms they are really going to remember, and it's fitting that it's the finale. There's lots of different gags and effects in here, and as you said, there's a couple that are new to the ghost room concept. So.
And when we've done other new attractions, when we did Berlin, we ended on the ghost show, and that served us really well, because that whole knife edge that we do of keeping people scared, entertained, laughing, crying all the way through, ending with this has always served us very well. We did it in Berlin. We ended on a ghost show also, I believe, in San Francisco. And we know that will work well for us here. That isn't to say that we don't leave the guests with a smile on the face when they leave. There's a couple more gags and effects in the corridor that sadly we can't go through today. But as well, we make sure that any of the guests leave with a smile on their face, and make sure that they tell their friends so that they then come and experience the Alton Towers Dungeon for themselves. So we're a week and a half away, I think, from putting the public into the space. Lots of dressing still to go on, lots of rehearsals still to go on, lots of costumes, lots of makeup, lots of that piece, but we're in a good position. And I'm very proud of where we've taken it to this point, and I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone thinks of it. Okay, thank you very much.
And I think just to add, one thing that I hadn't mentioned in the previous room was in terms of the ride. One of the things that we've been very passionate about is making sure that and they're doing it now, is that we're using actors within the ride element as well. Yeah. One of the things that we did want to do was to break that bubble. So once you're in the dungeon, you are in, and your experience continues throughout. And the rides team do a fantastic job, and we still have them there, but they're hidden. The people that will be loading you into the boat, the people that will be taking you off the boat are actors, and as such assume characters, and as such help continue the journey without it breaking.
And we've not done that
really
before,
important.
Yeah, so it's a very good point. We've not done that before, and I think that's where this will really kind of take that ride engagement up to another level. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. How much of the ride system is actually being used? Because when it was Charlie, there was sort of only a small bit of it used. How much are you using now?
It's a similar footprint to that, because for a dungeon, if it was any longer, it kind of throws the whole thing. I mean, the ride itself, I think, was 4 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yes.
Don't quote me on that. Someone can go around with a stopwatch when we're open, but it's around 4 minutes.
That was with 9 fully grown adult. So give or take a few seconds either way.
So the time that you have for that has to then pack into the same as this show. Yeah. So you can't make it any longer. It'd be lovely to. It could be. That's not to say that in future years you couldn't expand on that, have a longer flow, all that, and change it round.
What it has given us as well is it's given us the ability to drop in an extra show, which is the wide, one.
Yeah.
So rather than it just being a little bit of a pause and a lull while everyone gathers, we're again really keen alongside the ride actors to then keep the experience running, and therefore we're able with the timings to drop in another character, which actually we've been able to turn into a show all of its own, supported with the talking head, and it'll give us some really nice, again, some unique kind of banter moments, I suppose, and it gives us that nice counterpoint of the kind of fairly horrific, horrible boat journey. Give us that counterbalance of the humour before going back into torture.
A bit of light and dark, yeah.
A bit of light and dark.
A bit of shade. So it's not just bombarding you with gruesomeness. But it's good. It's a good point. That whole kind of Wise One show certainly lifts it at the end. So it's a good point.
Sean, did you have a question?
Yeah, just in terms of one of my favourite things about the dungeons is like the smells throughout. I assume there's going to be smell pods for the rooms and
all the smell machines. I mean, it's hard working in them all the time. Having them on all the time while we're building everything. But once we get the level set, the guests coming through, they're going to be fantastic. We've got rotten corpse smell, have we?
There's I think at the moment we're up to about 9 different smells in here, and we'll probably end up with a few more by the time we've concocted our own from mixing a few.
That's really good. I mean, Alton Towers has always been great with the smells and scare mazes. I think you do it better than anybody else. So
that's great.
I was looking forward to that in here and seeing, smells-wise, what are we going to have in the different rooms?
One of the things that we were very conscious of was that because it's not just the Ents team dealing with it, we're quite happy to walk around for 6 weeks stinking of rotten corn.
We have to get it right.
We've got people that, we've got people, external contractors who have to go home and explain why they stink of zombie or something. So we thought we'll leave that to one of the last. The last features.
But that goes with smoke as well, putting it into the smoke
we're
going to do, and kind of enveloping people, guessing all the smell, the sound, all the sights, all the props, bringing the whole thing to life. It just comes in that kind of final few days.
Awesome, look forward to seeing it.
Great stuff.
After finding out more information about the finale scene of the attraction and various other aspects of the Alton Towers Dungeon, we then made our way back outside where the day wrapped up. We were also treated to some more information about the attraction, including over 200 people will have worked on the creation of the Alton Towers Dungeon. Work began in September 2018 and was completed in just 6 months. Usually, it takes 18 months to deliver a Dungeons product. So no, they haven't made a scene at the Dungeons look like the world of theme parks. We are back here, and yes, we've just come back from Alton Towers from having our first look at the Alton Towers Dungeon. And you saw at the start of the video, we were very excited to get in there and see what there was to see. And we managed to film a lot more than we thought we were going to be allowed. So again, a big thank you to Alton Towers for allowing us to do that. I mean, a few years ago, they were so secretive about stuff. And when they opened up with Wicker Man last year, and they had a wonderful new head of marketing called Lizzie, it was like a big let's get people in and sharing it with the people who are passionate with the park, and that's fantastic. But yes, with the Dungeon, it is very much still work in progress. Like what we're telling you now in this video, it could be completely different. I'm sure it will be when it opens on the 23rd of March and beyond. Like, I can see improvements and changes going throughout the year, to be honest. So yeah, very much work in progress, and we will be sharing our full detailed review from the opening day on the 23rd of March, and we'll have that video up that evening, a full review of what we think. So obviously we won't be able to film inside then, but you'll see some of the shots from this video and think, they were talking about Dick Turpin or whatever. But here we go, the exterior. So of course we went down there on a coach provided by the park, and Charlotte loved.
Honestly, I loved the coach.
And we pulled up and of course walked over to the former Charlie and the Chocolate Factory building. And I say former, but on the left at the moment, it is still very much a factory.
It's still a working factory.
And I like how Liz even made that little bit of a joke as well as you saw in the video. Bit of a funny joke. Of course, it is going to be getting covered up. From talking to them, it seems like there's going to be more of the wooden panels going across, or potentially black paint. But there you go. It'll be interesting to see what happens. The exterior looks better in person than it does on a photo.
I'd definitely say that as well. It looks a lot better when you stood really up close to it.
Yeah, it does. There were some fire torches, as you saw. Them ones are actually temporary, but there is going to be some fire torches going in onto the building. They were put in just for now until them ones arrive. In terms of the other bits of details, a few photo points and things, but they said there's more to come on the exterior. Some more photo points are going in, so that's interesting.
A bit more theming outside.
Bit more theming. Going into the entrance on the left hand side, you saw it in the video when I was talking over it just. You've got like the little ticket booth just there. All that looks great. The rocks, the finish work, and you go in and I thought, how's it going to be? I mean, I know this building was Toyland Tours. I know it is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
But
and, put my hand on my heart. It looked good, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought it looked really good.
A lot of work to be done, but it does look good. Better than I was expecting. I've always been a bit sceptical on this dungeon at Alton Towers. I love the dungeon brand, and I enjoy Alton Towers, but I never knew if they should be put together. And from what we've seen, it certainly looks like it could be very good. So scene 1 is going to actually be the Bishop of Stafford. Obviously you saw we had a bit of an introduction there, which I think they're going to be carrying on with. I don't think that was just for us. There'll be an introduction to the dungeon, and they'll be taken into the Bishop of Stafford, which is your courtroom scene. You know what happens in there, usual innuendos and things, and you saw a little bit of footage what they allowed us to take of him doing his scene. What did you think to the room in there, Charlotte?
Yeah, I liked the room, but with other dungeons, I prefer to have the judge high up instead of being so low down. Like, the judge is like a big character, and you think you're looking up to the judge because you're quite scared. Yeah. But it was just low down. I feel like he needed to be on a high platform.
They normally have like a light in the book, don't they? And that might come, I don't know, it could be another effect. But they open it and it's like this beam of light shining on him. But yeah, the room itself, I must say, the scenes were quite big. But more about that as we move on. But yeah, some really good jokes. Must say, I'm loving the scripting. Very similar to that of other dungeons, but they're mentioning local things. Like brilliant. Like we had shout-outs for Stoke-on-Trent, Burslem. Like I really liked that, mentioning Alton Village, weren't they? Like saying in Alton Village Square, dancing around. Like I'm loving that, how they've adapted it to Alton Towers. Really good script writing. Then it moves on to the Black River, which is the boat ride, formerly used for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's going to be just over 4 minutes, they said. We saw absolutely nothing of the boat ride. We didn't see the loading area, any of the scenes, or the offload. No. So we can't comment on that yet. We saw nothing. We didn't even quickly walk through. It was all closed off, work in progress. From what I've been told, there's going to be quite a few scenes throughout there. They also said they was going to use some actors, didn't they, throughout?
Yeah, so it'll be like an actor unload and offload instead of normal staff.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that one. And in general, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory had quite a few curves, didn't it? I think there's going to be quite a few dark scenes.
It'll be interesting to see how
I like the boat ride in London. I like the boat ride in Edinburgh, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. But it's the Black River, and of course we'll share our review next week when we do it then. Scene 3 is the Torturer. So you're going to come off the boat, which is, they said there's going to be like a show scene when you actually get off the boat into the Torturer. Again, the room itself, let's just talk about the theming here. A lot of the theming seems to be quite focused in one place. Like there's a lot of black walls around the side, and I'm not too sure if they're going to be getting themed. I think they're going to be quite clever with lighting effects here and only light up the one wall so your eyes don't tend to look round you.
Like the other dungeons, you used to, when you're going into a torture scene, if you've been in one before, you've got like cages hanging up, like
ropes on the walls, like they have the guts on the walls and stuff, don't they?
Yeah,
none of that. There's a cage for someone to sit in and the main chair, but not a lot else. But again, there's a lot of set dressing. You've got to bear in mind, this is a very, very early, not even a review, this is an early look at this attraction. As you've seen throughout the footage, there was work taking place. This isn't a review, it's us telling you what we saw, an early preview, and not our final thoughts or anything like that, because it would be wrong for us to do that when it's, still under construction. Stages, usual sort of stuff in Torturer. Then we went into Dick Turpin's Tavern, a unique scene, looked really well themed. That was a room what looks quite big. Like you had
really big,
If you've done the London dungeon, kind of similar in a way to the 10 Bells with Jack the Ripper, and kind of to Miss Lovett's Pie Shop as well. Very similar with how the walls all looked. Lots of theming. That was the best room for theming. There's a moose on the wall. And all the chairs and stuff had speakers in, so something's going to happen in there, isn't it? But again, lots of nice theming. Of course, then we went on to the Plague Doctor. Again, that's another large room. All the rooms are quite big, and we believe...
Yeah, the room was really big.
Like groups of just over 20, we believe. So, the room itself, again, benches round, but it needs some more theming on the back wall and stuff in there.
Yeah, the back room was really bare, but the scenes that was actually in there, it did look really good.
At the front of that scene, of course, you've got the body. He looked more realistic than any of the other mannequins, what they've done in the dungeon. Obviously, as they evolve, they're always going to keep getting better. But I really like that. There was like a couple of other bits around the side. It was it was very open, like that whole wall was themed, so that's good to see. And then we move on to the final scene, which looks incredible, and that's the Witch of Burslem Cottage.
Oh, it had an eerie
unique scene. We saw it in there without all the proper lighting and no audio or anything. When that's an actual active scene, it's going to be scary.
It is going to be scary, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of effects and stuff. What Chris Carter there didn't really want to give away, of course.
You'll find out when you go.
So you'll find when you go in, and we don't know, do we? Like he kept it very secretive, which I liked. I was looking about. I saw a few different show bits and elements around. We might be seeing, some of the usual style big scares. I'm thinking like Jack the Ripper style, jump scare, Witches of Warwick, someone up in your face, like that. That sort of style is what I'm thinking with that. In general, a bit of a summary. Like we said, it seems to be like a focal scene with mostly black walls around. Makes me think, is it designed to maybe last for a long time, or is it more of a temporary thing, maybe for a couple of years until someone else goes into the area, or is it just a lot more to do yet? There's a lot of questions still with this one. In terms of between the scenes, not really spoke much about that. There's a lot of black walls, it is black walls between the scenes.
If you've been to a dungeon before, you're used to walking through scenes. on your way to other rooms.
Yeah.
But it was just flat walls.
Hopefully they'll put some barrels with like rats on them and stuff. Like that's what it needs.
Really good seeing stuff like that on the way in the corridors.
It needs something. It really does. There was a lot of like blank space in between. Again, we don't know. It's not finished yet. You know, things still to be done. Again, the show scenes seem quite large. I don't think I struggled with seeing anything because the show scenes are
really
big.
Large.
So I think, you know, if you've got little ones going in, bear in mind the dungeons aren't really that scary. It's more family fun, isn't it? Family entertainment. If you've got kids going in, you're going to easily be able to see what's going on with how it was set up. And yeah, again, there's lots of finishing touches to be done with it. You know, this isn't a review, it's a first look at it. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see what it's going to look like when it's finished. At the moment, I didn't feel, of course, immersed in it because we're not seeing it in show conditions. But it certainly looks better than what I was expecting. I was going in with, you know, quite low expectations, thinking this is an old, you know, boat ride and a lift from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You know, how are they going to have the space? But somehow it feels big in there.
I think it feels really big. I'm looking forward to giving it a go and seeing what it's like.
Yeah, but that's about all we can say. First impressions at the moment, it looks good, but of course we can't share our full thoughts until it's finished.
Because we've not done the attraction.
But there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this bit of a look. Again, thanks to Alton Towers for allowing us to go up there and preview this, and also allowing us to film so much. I mean, I wasn't expecting us to be able to film pretty much all the scenes other than the boat ride, you know, so you've got to have a little look inside at what there is to see, and when it's finished I'm sure it's going to be great. So once again, a big thank you to Lizzie and all the PR team at Alton Towers for having us along, and of course a big thank you to the guys from Alton Towers Entertainment and the Dungeons themselves who are putting this attraction together. We look forward to seeing it a week on Saturday.
Yay!
And we'll be there and can't wait to see it. But I think a lot of people are saying, you know, what do you think your favourite scene's going to be? I'm going to go in and say like the Molly Lee scene at the end is probably going to be my favourite.
It was one of the best rooms.
Yeah, what do you think?
So, I'd say the same.
Molly Lee, yeah, the finale.
So eerie and cold.
And can't wait to see it. But there you go. If you haven't already, check out our video from the Stargazing Pods, which was also now online here on the channel. So make sure you check that out. Busy day for Alton Towers news. Of course, it's great to see both of the new additions at the resort for 2019. And of course, you'll be able to join me and Charlotte and a few other familiar faces, I'm sure, on the Alton Towers opening day next weekend.
Yes!
Week on Saturday. Bring it on. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to Alton Towers for inviting us. And that means it's time to do those credits. See you at the dungeon.